Welcome to the first ever episode of Hashtag Matters, the show that takes on the topics trending on your social media wall and takes a wrecking ball to the walls that separate us all. I'm one of your hosts, David Grant, and with me as always is Stella Ingram. Say hello, Stella.
Hello, Stella.
Nice. No better way than to establish our cutting-edge relevance than with jokes popularized by George Burns and Gracie Allen 80 years ago. Yeah. I'm sure that's what the kids will be talking about tomorrow at the water cooler.
Say, did you hear about that dame and fella bumping gums on the radio? Why, they were the cat's pajamas.
And that's banter, folks. And that's the kind of thing you can expect from this podcast. Today's topic is a good one. Hollywood has announced that they intend to do a gender switch version of Lord of the Flies. Have you heard about that? Yeah, both men's rights groups and feminists are on the same side for once.
I would assume for very, very different reasons, though.
Well, yeah, of course. Men are angry because now they don't have a shot at being cast as one of the 12-year-olds. And women are mad because the novel is considered a study of what sociologists called toxic masculinity. And it simply doesn't really work with little girls.
Correct. William Golding, the author of the book, who died in 1933, said, "If you land with a group of little boys, they are more like scaled-down society than a group of little girls would be. Don't ask me why, and this is a terrible thing to say, because I'm going to be chased to hell. I'm going to be chased from hell to breakfast all the way for women who talk about equality. That has nothing to do with equality at all. I mean, I think women who are foolish to pretend they're equal to men, they're far superior and have always been. But one thing you cannot do with them is take a bunch of them and boil them down to, so to speak, into a set of little girls who would then become a kind of image of civilization, of society."
So today we're going to go scorched earth on the original books and films, and we're going to say if we're starting from scratch and writing a story about an island of girls, how would we be exploring the concept of toxic femininity? Is it even a thing? And if so, how would it manifest itself?
I can hear the angry tweeting now. Are you sure you want to go down this road, David?
I'm ready. But first, we'll talk about trending topics of the day, and to do that, we'll need to introduce our panel of guests.
Yay! Our roundtable for the first time ever.
And it's really a good one. For starters, we have a local businesswoman and member of the Linwood graduating class that included my personal hero, Mr. Weirdo Yankovic. He was the valedictorian and gave a speech about how their achievement was fruitless since the Earth was just going to crash into the sun anyway. We have Cindy Boswell-Price.
Hello.
Really excited to have you, Cindy. She's a brassy lady. And then we have my friend. She's Skyping all the way from Orlando, even though she lives here. We sent her out to talk about one of our trending topics today. She is a former Playboy model.
Ooh.
It's true.
Ooh.
Yeah. And Christina McGregor.
Thank you for that intro, Dave. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
A
Pleasure to meet you all.
full and diverse representation of feminism.
Yes, ma'am. Not that I am the only male in the room. That's not true. Actually, we have here joined always with us is our famed engineer, Jimmy. Say hello, Jimmy.
How's it going, everybody?
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about the trending topics of the day. As I alluded to earlier, we'll be talking a little bit about Irma and Jose and Katia. Christina, you are there in Florida right now. What can you tell us about the hurricane?
What can I tell you? Well, to be honest, it's raining. I mean, it's not raining more. Okay, if it was like a scale of 1 to 10, like what you see on the news, I would give it maybe like a 7. It's not really that windy. I mean, I'm still able to walk outside and walk to and from the hotel bar back to my hotel room. But they do tell us that it's going to probably progress by the evening, that they give us a curfew of 7 p.m. to be in our rooms because they think that's when the hurricane's going to really hit Orlando. But Disney's taking good care of us. Oh, I'm in the Disney World Resort. Just
nice.
Because you found the best place to hunker down.
Pretty much, yeah. I heard that 1 million people in Florida have lost power, don't have running water, versus we haven't noticed a thing because we have generators. And Goofy stopped by earlier in the lobby, and
Heck yeah.
It's actually a pretty solid place to be stuck on a hurricane.
Very cool. Have you? So we have had record-breaking storms. We've got part of the nation on fire right now. We have a possible volcano eruption in up north in the northwestern part of the United States. What do you guys think about all these crazy weather events? And that's just the U.S.
Climate change.
I say thanks, Trump.
Yeah. I heard climate change, and I heard. Did you blame it on Trump?
I'll do that too.
But to be honest, I blame it on climate change. If I wanted, I mean, I'm just making a joke, but I mean, to be honest, I honestly blame it on climate change. I mean, they talk about global warming causing ginormous hurricanes, so I'm pretty sure this is the first of many. But yeah, that's my perspective on all these catastrophic weather changes.
Can I be one of the soul people and just say that it's Mother Nature trying to cull us?
Oh, yeah, the cancer on the face of the earth trying to wipe us out.
Right. Mother Nature is finally fed up with all the smog that's going around and is fighting back.
Wouldn't that be climate change?
Just because you can call it whatever you want. Okay, tomato, potato, Kentucky, Idaho. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's a rough situation because, we do have to be competitive. But China, which is dying in smoke and smog. And,
Beijing is, specifically.
Beijing, right?
I mean, not all of China is going to be underneath that big cloud of, orange toxicity that nobody wants to breathe. It's really just the biggest city out there that's going to be under there. And Hong Kong kind of has it, but really Beijing is underneath it.
Right. And they're doing more for changing their way of doing things than we are.
Currently. They weren't before. 2 years ago, they weren't. Now they are.
Right. Well, I think they kind of have to. They see it even more than we do. We're just now really getting slapped in the face with
our own orange giant.
Yeah. Yes. With the
Well, didn't Texas and Florida go to Trump?
They did. Yeah. Yeah.
They both got the hurricane.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not one of those people that likes to blame, because on the other side, when we had Katrina, they blamed it on the gay rights parade. So
right.
I think
that. Well, I think it's our turn to blame it on. Right? I mean, I see all these people that are blaming it on, because we're sinning and all these evangelicals.
Yeah.
But wait, it's hitting the states that went for Trump. So.
Right. Yeah, I think it really is. I think a wake up call to show that weather hits people on every side of the spectrum. Right.
Right.
And that we all have to do something, even if you own one of those big businesses that's making money and creating jobs. There's a better way to do it. I think that's the important lesson to take personally. Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to add, Christina? No?
Not just yet. I mean, I probably will have more to say after tomorrow, since supposedly tomorrow is when the storm is really supposed to hit. But it's supposed to be going towards the west of Florida, like Sarasota and that area.
Okay.
So we might just get, just a huge tropical storm, really. But
right.
I mean, we'll see. I'm honestly an optimist, so I would say.
Okay.
Cool. If you are in the storm zone, please be careful. If you happen to, Christina, if you see the Epcot Center ball rolling by, run.
Might be a good time to leave. Huh?
Oh, that would suck.
And of course, that's a pretty heavy issue. We have a pretty heavy issue coming up a little bit later on. But I wanted to take a minute and talk about some stuff that's not so heavy. For example, big movie came out this weekend. It. Anybody afraid of clowns?
Silly thing to be afraid of.
Afraid of scary movies.
Yeah,
I'm down with that. I can agree with that.
Are you guys going to go see it?
Yes.
Okay. So I got a beeping yes from Christina. Cindy, are you going to see it or?
I probably will.
Okay.
It'll be convincing my husband. He'll be like, "What's that?
What's it?"
Yeah, like, what do you mean it?
He's
Clarify
like, "Why do you
it.
always get to pick the movies?
Right.
And you always pick stupid ones."
Oh my gosh! I have breaking news. Orlando just got a tornado warning.
You got a tornado
That's
warning.
what the beeping was.
On our phone. Me and my husband both got tornado warnings on our phone.
Oh, it's always good to
wow.
have a tornado in the middle of a hurricane. That's
I
excellent.
know. It's almost like a mini hurricane.
Yeah.
Excellent. So you're going to get a wet tornado and a dry hurricane.
I heard it was picking up sharks,
True.
bringing sharks with it.
Oh, no, Sharknado. Let's
Yeah.
not.
So Stella and I actually just got back from it. I'm not a Stephen King expert. I've made it through part of the book. I got to the part where you could tell that Stephen was on cocaine when he was writing it.
The 20-page chapter I hear.
Is that really true?
Yes.
Oh yeah, he was
Oh,
on
wow.
cocaine. Oh yeah, he was a big cocaine.
A lot of good writers out.
Very
Yes.
good writer. Very good writer. It's just it's definitely a book from the 80s, and I do want to read it. I just need to skip that chapter and go through it. But one of the things that I thought was interesting was that originally it was set when Stephen was a child, 1965, I believe. And this is a whole new generation. This is set in 1985, and then, of course, today, which would have been 1985 at the time, would have been the present day. So it's interesting. It's kind of a little bit of a Stranger Things
Okay.
take on it. Yeah, very exciting. But yeah, what would you give it, Stella, if you were to give it out of 5 honking noses?
I'd give it about a 4.5 red noses. I only say that because I haven't read the book and I don't have enough reference to clarify on whether or not it's excellent. I do know that it diverges. Thank you, Angela. Otherwise, the movie was really good, and I'm one of those wieners that if I watch it too late at night, I'll not sleep because I'll have scary movie like dreams all night. So watching it in the daytime helped, but I also wasn't so engaged that I will have nightmares for the next week.
Yeah, it's very disturbing. It kind of takes on what it's like to be a kid and to be afraid of everything, which is exactly what the book and the original miniseries kind of did really well. I would give it 4 scary honking noses. I thought it was very good. They made a couple of strange choices that were not just that they were different than the book. I don't really care about that. They were just strange choices in a movie. But overall, it's a pretty good movie.
There is one at the end that I laughed at that I kind of looked at and I was like, really? But you'll all find out whatever it is.
So I have a strange topic. Speaking of, there is a Polish metal band that was arrested in California.
Shut up.
No, this is true. They're called Decapitated. They were arrested for kidnapping.
When was this? Can you give me an ETA on
Yes,
that?
so August 31st, they were believed to have kidnapped somebody in Seattle. They no longer have her. I guess she said that they kidnapped her for the night.
Child?
No, this is a groupie, basically.
Mm.
I mean, not to diminish her, but yeah, she was somebody that was at the concert.
She was a very large fan who happened to go with them and did not want to keep going.
Not according to the witnesses. The witnesses say that she came in on her own volition, left happily. But who knows what happened in that room? So the band Decapitated, Polish metal band, arrested for kidnapping here in California. I thought that was an interesting story.
You know, I read the
Those
headline
Polish
for that
bands.
news story, and I was very confused because I see a band decapitated. So I got like, whoa, oh my God, there's a band decapitating people? But then I realized, oh, the band is called Decapitated. Oh, okay.
Yes.
You know, I mean, as somebody for just skimming through the news headlines. But yeah, I read it and then I was like, oh, wow, well, that's less terrifying. But, you know, good thing that you said that she was released, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
think she was
not
really-
harmed.
And honestly, I think there are 2 lessons to learn. One, sometimes you don't want to meet your heroes. And 2, use punctuation in your headlines.
Yes.
Very confusing. Now, this next topic is something that Stella's very passionate about, so I'm going to let her introduce it.
So I am aware that some of us here are video gamers, and I would like to bring this up just because I finally finished the Destiny 2 campaign, and it was wonderful. And I honestly can't believe that I stayed up until 3:30 in the morning 2 days in a row. One of which was because I had a terrible flat tire on Friday, but the other one was. You done popping that?
Destiny 2, Rockstar.
And then the other one was finishing the campaign last night, and it was wonderful. I am supremely surprised by it. I thought it was amazing. I did not play year 1, which to me I think was a blessing because of all of the terribleness I heard from my friends who did and how they suffered many, many things. But this one sounds like it's going to be awesome and it's wonderful, and I love video
Is
games.
this a video game? Okay.
It is a video game.
I thought we were going to be talking about Destiny.
Oh,
I
nice. Are you a gamer, Cindy?
No,
Oh.
I'm not.
No, nothing on your phone or
Nothing.
Wow, you're
Wait,
one
wait,
of those.
Do you
Wait.
play board games or solitaire?
When the kids come over, we play games.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So you're a mild gamer because I'd like to assume that
Yeah, but I don't play
The
video
video
games.
games.
We play like what's the one? Against Humanity.
Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah, Cards
Cards
Against
Against
Humanity.
Humanity.
That's a fun game.
How about you,
Ooh, have
Christina?
you played Joking Hazard? That's a good one too.
No, please elaborate.
Oh yeah, that one is fun. It's
Oh,
Cyanide
it's
and Happiness.
literally just like Cards Against Humanity, but instead of words, it's comics.
Oh,
It's those Cyanide and Happiness comics.
okay.
Yeah, it's literally that, but it's like you kind of create your own comic instead of, screwed up statement, just like Cards Against Humanity. It's same, like it's pretty easy to play. I
Okay.
highly recommend it if you love Cards Against Humanity.
Excellent. Good to know. We have an excellent recommendation now.
So what we've learned from that, I think, is don't buy Destiny, buy
Cards Against Humanity.
Against Humanity.
Or no.
or
the
Choking Hazard.
Joking
Joking Hazard.
Mhm.
Yes. I think it's time for today's top topic. Maybe we should start off by giving the folks that maybe aren't familiar with the concept of toxic masculinity a broad definition of what that term means.
Okay, so I didn't even realize that this term was a term, mostly because for me, it was just that unspoken of. It was something that I can talk about with my friends or with, of any gender or identifier, that this is something that we can see. But according to Wikipedia, the most influential and authoritative person on the subject, the concept of toxic masculinity is used in the social sciences to describe traditional norms of behavior among men in contemporary American and European society that are associated with detrimental social and psychological effects. Such toxic masculine norms include dominance, devaluation of women, extreme self-reliance, and the suppression of emotions.
Yeah, men aren't supposed to show emotions. They aren't supposed to like girly drinks or things that are considered not manly.
Ballet, musical theater.
Hey, I am comfortable with my masculinity. Thank you very much.
Saying stuff like, I moved on her like a bitch, or I grabbed them by the pussy, is accepted as
Or
locker
you're
room
a
talk.
pansy.
Yeah.
Or you're soft, you're weak. You're a
Exactly.
pussy.
Or
Like,
you're emotional.
Yes.
Mm.
That's, yes.
Ugh.
Yes.
If you're a strong, opinionated woman and you give your opinion, you're emotional.
Exactly. So without really getting into where they come from or why they exist, that can be a different topic for a different day, because this would end up being a 5-day session.
Yeah, let's talk about toxic femininity. Is it a thing? Now, here's where it gets a little awkward because I really want this to be a discussion mostly between the ladies, and I am not a lady. I'll basically be lending one man's perspective from time to time and simply kind of laying out the groundwork.
Man, whoa, man. Your mansplaining is done. I'm over it. I don't need it. Get your mansers away.
Okay. All right. Sorry. So we asked each of you to kind of think about this topic. I have a first one that I thought might be a good one for us to talk about. I'll kind of just say what it is and explain it a little bit. But assigning personal value to the need to always feel attractive. Men my age were kind of led to believe that women were the victims of fashion.
His age being in the mid-30s / Gen Xers.
Yeah, but the cliches existed all through growing up. Curse the man that invented high heels, right? And things like the things women do for men. That was always a big thing that we would hear. And those have been abandoned since my youth. At some point, things have changed, and now women dress in these uncomfortable contractions for themselves.
For other women.
Is it for other women?
Yes.
I like to say both, but I do understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
See, I kind of feel the same way too, where it's like I do kind of dress for other women, but vice versa. If I see a girl that is well done up and I'm staring at her, I'll say, "You have a really cute outfit. I really love your hair," and I realize it validates them. It might be toxic in terms of toxic femininity, where it's like this once was, oh, we did it for men, but now we do it for other women.
Mhm.
But I mean, I value that. I definitely dress for other women, and I value women that do the same thing, and I compliment them. So
Right.
that's my perspective on that.
It stems from a feeling of acceptance, knowing that I'm looking this way because I would like to feel good, and doing this makes me feel good, and it also has people that recognize me to feel good.
Definitely.
Right.
And we do. I mean, I've done it. I walk with my friends and go, "Oh God, did you see the way that girl's dressed? Oh God, a little slut." It's true. I'm sorry. We do that. And I think it just starts from when you're young, like playing with Barbies. No, I do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And just a societal thing.
Me and
I
David,
agree.
just hit up Disneyland the other day because our passes have sadly lost its magic. So I was looking around and I'm looking at all these women who are wearing pretty tight-fitting jeans. I'm assuming very comfortable. They're wearing dresses. Their hair is very well done. They're wearing aviators and all kinds of different shades, and their makeup is on point, super on fleek. And I'm looking around and I'm super scrubbed. Like, I got torn jeans, a t-shirt, and my hair's in a like kind of ponytail. And I'm looking around like, dang, I feel bad. Like, it's not necessarily that I feel like, oh my God, I'm going to go die in a ditch. But one of those, I'm not at the same level as these women who are doing it for themselves and to feel good and to be positive and give themselves that positiveness. But at the same time, I feel the negativity coming from it, and it comes from within. And I got to the point where I feel like it also came from things that I grew up thinking, like, I'm not in the same social level as these women, so I should not be here.
I think you have more confidence then.
Maybe.
That's how I look at it. You have more confidence.
It could be.
You don't have to. I mean, I go hiking and I see women wearing
that
stiletto heels.
That makes me like
I am
cringe.
guilty of that, by the way.
Oh.
Which is why I wanted you on the show.
I have my hiking makeup. I wear heavy concealer because I know when I take that selfie at the top of the mountain, I'm sweating. It's going to absorb all that, and I'm going to look good as fuck. Sorry, can I say?
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna.
Anyway,
no
but like you said, Stella, I actually do have my Disney makeup. I was even telling my husband, it's like I kind of do it a little heavy that can last all day, and I do a lot of glitter, or like not glitter, shimmer, I should say. And it's kind of, I like to say that's how I feel that it's kind of like you said, it's like I belong here. It's like I feel like I'm in my environment. I'm happy to be here. It's kind of, but I don't know. I mean, it's more or less for me to feel happy about myself. I mean, I'm comfortable, but I'm also kind of, it's
your personal display is coming out because you are in this setting in the way that you would like to blend, not necessarily blend in, but like to immerse yourself more into the setting, is that you have yourself feel this way because of the way you look. And we do place a high value on how we look, and that's for everybody, not necessarily just women or whatever you would like to identify as.
Oh, no, yeah, for sure. I mean, my husband wears the same Rex hat every time we go to Disney. And
which is rocking, by the way.
Like,
that's
nobody can tell him to take that off. Like, that's kind of us, though. It's like, I mean, that's part of the experience is, I mean, we could dress in sweats all day and be at Disney and be comfortable, but it's like, we're not just at home, we're at Disney. We want to be like we're at Disney.
It's special. That's your guys' place. That is almost, it's kind of literally your happy place, as much as like happiness is there and kind of also misery, depending on what line you're in.
Indeed.
Yeah. So
I think I'm between the two of you.
Yes. Please elaborate.
I always have to have my makeup on if I go outside, and I have to have my hair done. I don't have to do the glitter, and I would probably I definitely tone it down when I go hiking and if I'm at Disneyland.
Right. Because it's so much more heat, you're sweaty, you don't want to have to like go in and touch up as much.
But I think that I learned that from my grandmother. She even said I can't go outside without my face on.
Right.
And then the same with my mom. So
I have the dumb guy question. Because for us, I think a lot of guys, not every guy, of course, we're talking about a spectrum of different people, but for a lot of guys, fashion is not something we even think about. We roll out of bed, we put on what's comfortable, and we go out and face the day. But it is considered a part of personal expression for a lot of people. And so I guess, to what degree is it personal expression? When does that become theater? When does it become a costume?
I believe that 90% of it is personal expression. The other 10% is theater, mostly because you're already going to the store and selecting the clothes that you're buying. So it's already going to A, catch your eye. B, it's going to be, how do I feel? I want to wear a dress because it's going to be super hot. I'm going to wear pants because it's going to be cold. Or I'd like to wear those Uggs with these leggings. So I think that it really does come down to a lot of it is personal choice, because we think about ourselves first and foremost. How do I feel? How do I want to look? How do I care? That's a big one. Do I even care about today? Do I care about where I'm going? And then, of course, the rest of it afterwards is, who am I going to be with? Obviously, if you're going to go on a date, you're going to think more about your date and what you're going to do on it versus where you're going to go as well. But really, I think it comes down to mostly how we feel.
Would it be at that level, like kind of theatrical, where it's like, which version of myself am I going to be? If I'm going on a date, am I going to be like the sexy version of me?
Yeah,
versus if I'm like hanging with Stella and Dave, I'm going to wear a gamer shirt. I'm going to wear like comfortable shorts and Chucks and just be like ready to have fun versus like Disney, I'm going to throw on the glitter and throw on my mini ears, you know? So, I mean, maybe that's like a little bit of a theatrical level, but still, like you said, very much personal. That's like part of your personality, just like a different extension of it, maybe.
I think it all depends on where you're going. And I'm just kind of in a different place than I was because I would get up and decide what I'm going to wear because I worked in a professional field. Mm-hmm. Now I walk dogs, so I don't care how I look.
Right.
But then if I'm going to go, you know, we're going to go out and get a few drinks at the bar or whatever, I'm going to dress up a little bit more and I might wear high heels.
It's fun.
So it's definitely where I'm going.
Right.
This is the guy perspective again. So it sounds like dressing is partly for how you feel, right? And I think maybe that's one of the reasons maybe men don't dress in a way because we're not as in touch with our feelings. What do you think?
I think I've had guy friends that often have said to me, you know, sometimes I wish I was a chick because I have more options for clothes. Like women have so many different options they can choose from. I had a friend that I went to a music festival with, and he would say, like, you know, women get to do all these kind of crazy things. They have heels, they have boots, they have sandals, they have this. I literally have a shoe. Like I can't. I'm limited to different directions I can take my clothing in. So, I mean, in terms of that. You wear a pantsuit.
Mm-hmm. You can also wear.
You wear wedges. You wear boots. You wear booties.
Exactly.
Right? He's got jeans. He's got. Blazer or a formal jacket, and that's kind of it.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But I think it all comes down to, it's a society thing too. Like we're inundated with Vogue magazine. Like I say, going back to Barbie, Cosmopolitan, all the women in the magazines are airbrushed, you know?
Right.
And then we get the feeling, well, we just don't, we don't level up to these women at all.
Yes.
You know?
I can see that.
And then you watch TV and it's makeup commercials and these women that are 55 and they look like they're 20. Somebody was talking about how great Cher looks. Well, I'd look great too if I had her money and get $50,000 worth of plastic surgery.
Right. Which actually brings us to the next thing that we wanted to talk about, which is the princess syndrome, or for Christina, the Disney princess syndrome, which includes things like wanting to look pretty. Actually, I have a definition of this from Psychology Today. Psychology Today says a girl who suffers from princess syndrome lives life as a fairy tale, focusing only on the pretty things, putting herself as the center of the universe and obsessing about her looks, even as she's only headed to the playground. I would expand that to include a feeling that my mother often described to me. She used to say that when she was young, she was expecting a day when her prince would come, swoop her up off her feet, and they would live happily ever after. Christina is actually a Disney princess whose prince did come and sweep her up, so this will be an interesting topic. But Mary, who is here with us today, had something to say that I think plays very nicely into that. Mary, what were you writing on your little sign there? Mary is from New Jersey, so if you're wondering where this accent, this strange, foreign, exotic accent.
I don't even hear it. Yet. My dad was from New Jersey. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
David, your penis is taking up too much room on this couch.
Oh, wow, that got way more. Okay, we've evolved. Level 2. Again.
Oh, so I think I have my shit together pretty well, but it's like with the whole. Oh, am I talking into the?
Nope, we're trying to get you hooked up so that Christina.
Sorry,
can
I'm a little dysfunctional. But I got my shit together, I think. I do the school and work life. Been doing that for a few years.
You can't have it all, ladies.
No, I've been doing that for like way too long. but I've been in the retail life, 10 years now? And just working, trying to get to school. And then it's like, I think I look fine. You know, I wash my hair at least, once a week, hopefully. Right. But, I don't have time to do the whole makeup thing. And especially that I don't want to have to think about not touching my face or whatever. I'm just kind of all over the place as a person.
I'm the same way.
Yeah, right. It's just too much. I mean, like if I go out, maybe, but you know.
You have the thought that that you can't touch your eye, even though it itches. It's...
Yeah, and you know what? Too, it's like I'm not really good at it, so like shit starts like getting all over the place. But no, like I had someone tell me though that like I complimented them, and I was like, oh, I think you look, good today. And then she's like, yeah, people who put their makeup on have their stuff together rather than people who don't. And it's like, I was like, whoa, hold up, hold up.
That was
I
taken
would
wrong.
say that people that put their makeup on, it's because the rest of them isn't together. So if they look good on the outside, it kind of takes care of like what.
I like that.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I feel about it. So
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm down.
I mean, my friend is totally hot and she's beautiful and she puts her makeup on amazing. But let me tell you something. Her life is a little crazy. So, I mean, I totally get that. But yeah, it's just like interesting. Like someone could like flat out say that to you, especially when they don't know what's kind of going on in your life and you have so many things going on.
Right.
And you're just like too frazzled as a person to take care of yourself, but you're taking care of everybody around you.
Right. The one thing you feel like you control is your appearance. So at least if your appearance is on fleek, you're good, right?
Right. Like it's interesting. Yeah.
But please. Is that...
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
that's my guest appearance.
You had something written down. I wasn't sure.
Mary, appreciate it. Thank you, Mary.
And my exotic voice comes from the ghetto of
Jersey.
Of Jersey.
Oh God.
Hey.
Yeah. Dang.
Thank you, Mary.
All right, peace.
So, Christina, can you tell us about your point of view on the Disney princess syndrome?
David's inviting you for your Disney princessness.
Disney princess syndrome, having grown up on Disney princesses. Well, I mean, I could say the cliche that expecting a man to come in and sweep you off your feet is definitely toxic in terms of expectations out of the male gender.
Right.
In terms of look-wise, I mean, seeing Disney, you see Cinderella and Belle, like when they're just kind of before they're in their total princess zone, they're kind of, they're kind of like, not, I don't want to say slobbish, but just kind of like meh, and they're still beautiful, and it kind of gives us this expectation that we have to be beautiful. So, I mean, I think it does weigh down on insecurity. I think that it's why in my adulthood I do need to have to fit that sort of criteria. But I mean, at the same time, it's also kind of grown on me where it's, I'm no longer doing it because I want to be a princess. I'm doing it because I do feel good about it. But I do feel that validation I get and feeling good about it is because of what I've grown up with. So, I mean, to kind of conclude more your statement that it is toxic, then yes.
Well, but I mean, if it doesn't necessarily have to be toxic. Now, in a societal sense, that it makes you conform to that way. So, Christina, you and I are awesome. We're definitely 10s on our own levels. I believe we both can agree with that.
Yes, we are.
So we just have our... Yeah, thank you for your sassness. We just have our 10s at different areas. Now, you're amazing. You're wonderful. You're one of the smartest people that I know. And I'm really, really happy that you're able to come on... even through all of the trials that are currently going. I'm really happy that you're able to come on and be here. And I think it's interesting that we have somebody who is very beautiful, who can get overlooked purely because of your looks. Whereas for me, I don't necessarily get those compliments of, hey, sexy, what are you doing? It's more of, I have to have my personality come through. And I know we both have friends that are in our fields and the other fields besides just each other. So... it's
honestly
toxic for one of us and the other in different ways.
I think in terms of like beauty, say aesthetic, like appearance wise,
right.
Holly Madison said it best. She said, somebody asked her saying, when did you know you were beautiful? She said, I made myself beautiful.
Hey.
And it was such a profound statement that I guess caused them to do the Playboy show Girls Next Door. But with that in mind, I think to myself, every woman has that ability to make themselves into that mold. It's just the choice of wanting to or not. You don't have to be superficial and care about that. A lot of women that are like that, it's because they choose to. I personally have made that choice.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to because it's too much work. And, it honestly is. But I mean, I think everybody is beautiful. They have the ability to be beautiful. If there's something that you want in order to make yourself more attractive, you can do it. It's like there's so many possibilities. I mean, it's like you can get your lips done, you can get your boobs done, you can throw some makeup on. And it's like you said, I mean, not everybody wants to have to do that. They're like, that's too much work. And you're right, it is. And I mean, like, that's like my take on it, that it's just that extra effort that could be toxic, because it's like, it's more work on everybody's plate, or I'll say our plate, I should say. But I mean,
yeah.
So I don't know.
No, yeah. It's work in the sense, I think I get where you're going, where it's work in the sense that it starts to become competitive, because it becomes more
competitive because other women see it and they're like, oh, I need to be like that,
Right.
And,
she's getting these great things because she looks this way. Well, I can work just as hard, but I don't look that way, and I can't because I'm not physically able to. I feel bad today. I ran out of concealer, whatever the reason would be.
Well, sometimes it's even the case that some women are like misinterpreted as natural. What do you mean? You see Disney princesses and think, oh my God, that's natural. It's like, it's a cartoon. Of course it's not natural.
Right.
And then there was this viral photo of this girl who she took a selfie, and then someone's like, oh, I wish I had natural beauty like her. And this girl's like, natural? I have eyelash extensions and lip fillers. I don't even look like it.
Right.
And that's the thing too. It's like, I remember back when I was modeling, I mean, there was a lot of Photoshop and airbrushing and makeup that went into a lot of those photos. That's not how I look when I get out of bed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that's a thing that has to deal with makeup trends as well. A lot of women are opting for more like nudes and pale pinks that are kind of more skin tone based. So it's, I think we're kind of deceived that, women naturally look like that, but none of us do. None of us look that perfect.
Right.
And when you see a Disney movie and see somebody that looks that perfect, it's like, we got to understand that's a cartoon. That's a animated version of what a woman can look like. I mean, impossible, I guess I should say. I mean, we know how impossible that looks like, but I mean, still, it's, we can't just assume like, oh my God, why can't I be like that? It's like, nobody looks like that.
Right.
You're manufactured to look like that.
Exactly. They're shopped for, even in the live action ones.
What about you, Cindy? Did you play with Barbie and think that you had to look beautiful even when you were sleeping?
With your eyes open?
I did play with Barbies, but I was a little bit of a tomboy too. But I did feel, and I'm wondering too if the generation now, because my kids, they'll go and they won't wear makeup, whereas I would always wear makeup. And I mean, think about the 80s.
Right.
Everybody was all made up and dressed up and a lot of makeup. And I think the younger women now, they seem to be getting away from it a little bit more. From what I see, like I go into the store, people my age wouldn't have even thought of going in without their makeup on.
They can't leave the house.
Can't leave the house.
Right.
Exactly. And I was thinking of something else as well, but it's completely off topic.
No, that's fine. We can transition.
I think that sometimes there's the perception that you get this woman that looks so beautiful, and it's just a shell, where maybe she's just a dumb bimbo or whatever.
Yes.
And I do think that this is true as well, and this is going to sound terrible. This is going to sound toxic femininity. But I remember the girls, like in high school, that were just natural beauties and looked wonderful. And I'm like, God, I still look like I'm 12 in comparison to you. And then I run into them now. And because they had this natural beauty, they never developed much of a personality because they didn't have to. And so in social situations, now I meet them like at my age, and they're a little awkward. They didn't have to worry about being awkward. Does that make sense?
It does.
It does.
No, that makes perfect sense. I had ugly duckling syndrome when I was younger. There's no way in hell I would have been able to score my husband if we met in high school. Like, I was gothic, he was a jock. There's no way. I literally hit puberty when I was 18, so I totally get that.
I never hit it.
Important that we set more personalities before we develop our exterior. So
right.
That makes sense.
And
it's not uncommon either.
Oh no, and that's something that is, I feel like, more obvious in women, not just because there is such a value placed on women. I mean, when you look at it, okay, this is all something I thought about too, but I guess we'll talk about that topic another time. But there's something that you think about, like when you see a little girl, oh, she's so pretty. Oh, she's so beautiful. Oh, she's going to be such a looker. And then when you see a boy, you might get the same things, but it also comes down to, oh, is he going to play sports?
Yes.
What is he going to do? Does he like tools? Does he do these
Yes.
things?
Well,
And-
boys you're going to get a lot of girls. You're going to break a lot of hearts.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's a
Exactly.
heartbreaker. And then you do have girls who get told that too, who are like, oh, she's going to be a looker. She's going to be a killer. Like, you know, it's one of those, you get it, but then it becomes more of an automatic thing that you need to
Absolutely.
be looking this way. You need to be doing this thing.
I have a friend who, when she was in elementary school, her teacher said, "Thank goodness you're smart,"
Right.
because she was not doing well at math.
Well, it reminds me of something that came across on Facebook, and it was Ashley Judd. And I guess she got upset when she was at the airport because the guy who was taking her luggage or whatever called her sweetheart.
Yeah.
And she kind of got upset. I would get upset too. I don't want somebody that I don't know calling me sweetheart or baby.
Yeah,
and
that's
I actually
awkward.
got into
It is.
a debate with somebody my age that I went to school with, and she says, well, that's complimentary. And I said, no, it's not. I'm never going to go up to a man and go, hey, you look really good in those pants.
And it's different connotations. When when
Yes.
you go up to a man saying, "Hey, sweetheart, how are you doing?" It's becoming so much more flirtatious, and it's a huge
Yes.
invitation. Whereas if a guy comes up and he's like, "Hey, darling, can you go do this?" It's not.
It's condescending to me.
It can be.
Or hey, don't forget to smile.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. I've
Very
heard that.
condescending
you
to
should
me. I hate
smile more because you'd look better. What? Who
it.
cares?
What's your problem? Right. I could go on with this subject forever.
I remember getting told that a couple of times because with a retail background, as many of us have done, if you don't smile the second someone sees you, it's automatically, oh, she's in a bad mood.
Mhm.
No, I'm doing something. I'm busy. In the people that know me and that have at least worked with me in a certain sense, I can get into a mode where it's one of those, what do you need? That's what you're doing? What's your problem? What's going on? I'm just very direct, and I become,
Exactly.
what's the immediate answer
Right.
that we need to get you on your way so that you are good to go?
Yes. And see, men can do that. But women do that, and it's not acceptable because we're supposed to go, we're supposed to be tender and, sweet and, not
That
be
bitch.
so direct. Yes, that bitch.
And
Absolutely.
I've found as a man that it flips the switch pretty quickly. I learned not to flirt with women while they're at work when I was a teenager, because you think that they're flirting with you when they're nice, right? They're smiling. Oh, she smiled at me. She's really...
Right.
And after working in
Right.
retail for a while, I saw,
I can't
especially
groan
working in a
hard
video
enough for
game
that.
store.
Yes. I just, and just this presidential election has just put the nail in the coffin so much more for me. And these like men, quote unquote, that I went to school with and how they don't get it. And I'm thinking, you just fall into that criteria.
Right. It's just locker room talk.
But
Exactly.
you know what? My husband never talked like that in the locker room. I directly asked him, do you talk like that? No, I never talk like that. I have too much respect in women.
Well, when you're a teenager, I think
I don't
it is
think
locker room talk.
maybe he did. Maybe.
You're a young guy and you don't know any better, and
But when you're 50?
learning that you have something down there, and it's talking for you all of a sudden. I think, but we're talking about a 60-something.
Yeah, he was
man.
60, right? And he was married.
Yeah.
Come on.
Right. He's talking to his wife. He's evolved. You've grown. It doesn't,
And you have daughters.
right. And it's no matter what's going on, even in a year, you're going to evolve mentally, physically, however you'd like to perceive that. So having the locker room talk, I think that everybody's guilty of it in the sense that women have it too. We talk about, oh, that guy's so hot. I wonder how he's blah, blah, blah. And then with men, I think it's one of those, you end up making a choice because you do realize who's important in your life. You do end up thinking about your mother, your sister, your aunt, your
Right.
cousin, your friends. And you realize that these women do end up getting hurt because there has to be some sort of event and switch that happens.
Absolutely. Here's an example of what happened to me, and this was in my 20s. I worked in a professional office surrounding, and they shut down the office at Christmas, and that's when they'd have the alcohol flowing. They don't do that anymore.
No.
And so I was down at the reception rep, and any of us were just supposed to answer the phone if it rang. And a salesman came down, and he grabbed my butt.
Whoa.
I was married, and so I'm thinking, what did I do?
Invited you to do that.
I invited him to do that.
Yeah.
Was my thought. And the general manager, his office was right upstairs and he could view everything that was going on through this window. And he called me up to his office, and I'm like, oh God, I'm in trouble. Why would I be in trouble because this guy grabbed my butt?
And it's the immediate thought too.
And he told me, he says, if someone ever does that to you again, you slap him right across the face. And I was like,
thank goodness.
Oh, you mean it wasn't my fault? But then I just went to my 40th high school reunion, and I went to school with this guy. I'm there with my husband. He's there with his wife. This just happened last October. I go up to the bar to get a drink, and he full on grabbed my butt. I'm like, whoa. And I still didn't know how to react. And I kind of just walked away, and I didn't tell my husband. I didn't want to brawl at my 40th reunion.
Wait. Does he know about this?
My husband, yeah, now. I told him now, after the fact. Because I didn't know.
A rude awakening.
Yeah, and so I was telling people, and they're like, oh, block him on Facebook right away. Yeah. And so I haven't had any conversation. And now I kind of stay away from any school functions because I don't want to see this guy.
And just to be clear, this was not Weird Al, right?
No, not at all. I can't even imagine him doing
the
that.
intro that we gave you, we have to be clear.
No, it was not. He was a jock. It was a jock.
Yeah. See, now it's awkward because of just this one event that we kind of aren't taught how to deal with.
Absolutely.
Or it really at least given a way out most times. We are going to avoid this thing even if we wanted to go. If I had a bad event, such as something like that, where it's relatively innocuous, you're not really going to get hurt. Even as much as unwanted as it is, I won't go back.
Yeah, I don't want to go back. I even told a girl who puts all our functions together, and she says, oh, that's just how Carmelo is. And I'm like, no, this is not right.
Not okay.
No.
Christina, would you like to add or have a comment?
No, I just said that's not okay.
Well, no, I mean, I don't know if you have anything to elaborate.
Just like some people say, oh, he's just flirtatious. He's just friendly. That doesn't make it okay. Just because you have a, for lack of a better term, like rapey personality doesn't mean
rapey personality.
Outgoing personality.
No, not rapey.
This happened right after that Hollywood Access tape with Trump too, and I'm like,
oh, he was validated by the president.
I guess so.
I see.
So we do have a couple more things. The next one I wanted to touch on. This was something that Stella brought up. Is that there are particular interests that, just like men, there are particular interests we aren't supposed to have. There are particular interests
for gender. So if you like one thing versus another,
right? And Stella had a good example of one.
Yes. So for me in my life, obviously I've already alluded to this earlier. I play video games. So it's difficult, and I know, Christina, that since we worked in the same place and you have a very good idea of what I'm talking about, it's hard to have any kind of authority, or at least even an opinion even, on video games, because it is seen as a guy's game, even though, statistically speaking, last I heard, I don't have a website, unfortunately, I will try and book that on as fast as I can, half of the gamers out there are now women. Women are at least 50% of your population that actually will go out, buy your games, buy your extra downloadable content, your DLC, and play the crap out of it and promote it and love it and throw money in your face. Like, you're going to also establish it.
It's like when you hear like a female gamer, they say things like tomboy, where it's like, this characteristic of your being isn't you. It's something you're borrowing from the other gender.
Right. Is your boyfriend getting you into this?
No, I'm still a woman. I'm still female.
Right.
I can be into video games and still be feminine. It's like, it's kind of hurtful, because I remember that when you and I used to work together, people would come in and say, oh, do you play video games or you just work here? And I'm like, well, let's see. I work here because I play video games.
Right.
It was always like this constant, thing. It's like I had to come out to every person I meet and say, hi, I play video games. And I mean, they kind of judge like, oh, what games do you play? Like, are you a real gamer? And I'm like, I mean, is anybody real? I mean, some people think that like online gamers aren't real gamers, or people that only play Warcraft aren't real gamers, or things like that. And that's, I don't know. We can go on about the whole,
right. And I can understand their question of, do you play video games? Because there were a lot of people, both men and women, that would work in a retail environment and not participate in what they were selling. And I respect that. I can understand that you're doing a job. And that's what we're all basically doing. But it is slightly more offensive to come in and you're working, you're doing your thing, you're behind the counter, and then somebody comes up and they look at your male counterpart and wait. And then you look at them and like, hi, can I help you? No, and they continue to look at your male counterpart. And you're just like, are you sure? Because I know what I'm talking about. I've been here for blah, blah, blah time. And no. And then as soon as the man turns around, hey, how much does this cost?
Yeah.
Well, no. If I had a table,
imagine a female who works at Home Depot.
Oh, I know. The same thing.
Right?
Right. And a lot of that comes from toxic masculinity, but it also plays, and it's hard to say what comes from the patriarchy overall, but sometimes women don't like to game together, right? That was kind of what you were talking about.
That is also another milestone. So I heard, again, I'm really bad at this. I really should start getting my sources down because it'd be probably great for people to see what I'm talking about. I've heard that in a group setting, if you are playing with your friends, we'll assume that these are video games and we're going to assume that there is one female in a group of 5, right? If you are playing with these men and then another female is introduced, suddenly the original female is threatened. They feel like their pride or their group of people and their setting in it is now threatened because this new person is in here and they are going to take your place. The replacement syndrome of, oh no, this newer, younger model is going to replace me. And it has manifested itself, unfortunately, into video games, which should be just a hobby and something for fun or even a passion. Like that kind of idealism
It's funny because
is everywhere.
That's similar to like the movie Mean Girls, where it was the case that it's like women are more threatened by each other than seeing each other as equals. It's almost like it's like you remember in the movie how like there was like the pretty girl clique, there was the jock clique, there was just the different cliques and stuff, and then they were just somehow all threatened by each other. It's the same thing with gamer girls. It's like it's the one thing that makes you unique, and then when another girl enters it, it's like, whoa, you're suddenly in competition because
I think that would be the case in any scenario.
In terms of like, what's that?
I think it would be the case in any scenario.
Right. It's kind of that
yeah,
territorial
competition. Yeah.
Right. I am the lioness. Get out of my pride.
Right. Absolutely.
I mean, women can be more brutal than men.
Absolutely.
I mean, we can be way more competitive. Yeah.
We're more psychological, I like to think. And this is also toxic femininity where we will throw the ninja star into your brain and you won't realize you're bleeding until 3 days later and you're crying and you're, with your ice cream and everything like that. Whereas men will become much more actively violent. And that's another study that actually come up too, where the fight or flight is only found in men. So that is wrong. That is not only for men. It has now evolved into fight, flight, feed, and reproduction for the... Right. No, it's fuck.
Oh.
That's the 4 Fs. That's what it is. Yes, it is. It's in psychology. You can look it up. So for
How
females...
How do they apply?
So fight and flight, we know that is, right? You're either going to fight or you're going to flight. For females, evidently, it's supposed to be you are going to feed, as in you are going to make sure there is food. You're going to provide. You're going to cook. You're going to cook. And in the Stockholm syndrome of, I love this person. I can do this. You can't get rid of me because we have sex and we can reproduce and we can do these things. And that is the natural female one, where to make yourself important to this man. That is the base instinct. Now, whether or not that's something you agree with, because I personally don't. I feel like I would fit more into fight or flight. It also could be me trying to fight myself from such a long standing of what would I do? I don't want to be that person, which is unfortunate because this happens a lot. I don't want to be the person that freezes. And that is something that is so often happening that it's sad. It creates so many different things. It ruins lives. Even from personal knowledge of people that I've met who have had to deal with very terrible situations, and they just find out the only thing they can look on with shock and awe is, I froze. That is the one thing they always say. So I
wonder if I would do that in that situation.
Right, and you won't know until
it happens. You won't know until it happens, exactly.
Yeah. How about you, Christina? What do you think? Do you think you would do one of the Fs?
Do one of the what?
Fs. Would you fight, flight, feed, or fuck? In a threatening situation.
See, I'm like such a non-confrontational person. I would probably say flight, but ultimately, it's kind of like I'm sorry, forgive me of your name. The one who said
Cindy.
I would like hit you with a ninja star and you wouldn't feel it bleeding till 3 days later.
Oh, that was me.
That's
Sorry.
More my tactic. Yes.
Yes, that's more. It's much more the subtle. Like, I'm going to fight you. I'm not going to be very active in it, and I'm not going to be super aggressive about it. I'll be passive aggressive about it, which is the one thing I absolutely hate working with a bunch of women with, and it's unfortunate
passive
because
aggressive.
It's terrible. It's
there.
Honestly, it's one of those things where it's I could say it to your face, or I could say it very intellectually and make you go, "Wow, that was very passive aggressive."
I'll hit you with my words.
Oh yeah,
it's like the difference between a bitch and a cunt.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah, in that case, I'm the
Right.
Word of the two.
I think I just try to fix things. Like, quit talking about it and just fix it and shut the fuck up.
But you're not validating me. And that, okay, and I'm
Right.
saying that because I can be very, very
I'm backing away.
proud about that, because that's something that I feel. Whereas just because, and this reaches way back to the beginning of this, where it's the validity. I want to come in here and I'm doing these things just so that whatever I'm a part of this day or this moment, I am valid. We are accepting of each other. And because I don't feel like I'm accepted in this situation, I am now threatened, and now I need to make myself known, and I need to establish myself. So while I'm trying to be direct with you and fix the situation, my overt directness is now undermining how you feel, and then it becomes a fight, and now you have rumors that you're going to slash someone's tires.
So Cindy,
It wasn't a rumor.
Cindy, you have kids, right?
Yes, I do.
Now,
Daughters.
when your husband would take the kids to the park, did they say, "Oh, he's such a good dad"? And when you would go to the park,
No.
they would,
My husband was so involved.
Okay, so now...
And it was never like if he was going to watch the kids, he was babysitting.
Mhm.
So that, no, it never.
So
it's
now-
we're pretty equal.
Now the question is, when your kids were actual kids, like very little, and they were taking care of them, if you were both together, would you get comments of, "He's doing such a good job. Are you so proud of him? I can't believe you found him."
Yeah, I think so. I never thought about that, but you're right. What a great dad. What a great husband.
Right, and he's just
Yes.
doing,
For
his,
doing his
job.
job.
Yes. And yeah, you're right. And I never got told that.
yeah.
What's
Yeah.
up with that?
Right, and that's the whole thing with moms
Now
is
I'm
that
mad.
all you want is a thank you card. No, I want a vacation. Give me like 18 hours of
It's
sleep,
true.
please. I would love that.
Yeah, oh yeah, I would see that where people go, "Wow, he's so great. He stayed with the kids," or "Wow, he changed the diapers," or "He
Yes.
got up in the middle of the night."
Yes.
Like, well, hold on.
There's two of us. We both made it. I
Right.
mean, I can't just pop one out. That's not how it works.
It's so easy to become a bad mom, I think, right? In society's view, like
Yes.
the woman who had all those kids tagged along, and one of the kids
Octomom?
fell into
Octomom?
the
Oh, no. Oh.
Cincinnati zoo
okay.
pit, and the
Harambe.
ape had him, and it was she was a
Hashtag never
bad
forget.
mom because an accident happened.
And we kind of all do that.
yeah, or
Like, what was the mom doing?
she uses formula. She's a bad mom,
Right,
or
right,
that
right,
cup
right.
has.
because it's going to make them smarter. No, but I don't need to do formula because I have running water, or I am unable to produce.
Literally,
Do not
I don't
do not
wanna
judge
be a
me.
mom.
Right.
Right, right. We do.
I'm
We
so
do.
scared.
We
'Cause
absolutely
even that,
do.
it's like so much more competitive. It's like, do you breastfeed? Oh, do you pump? Like all those like crazy. It's like, whoa, like that's. I
It's
mean,
so much more involved.
people like I've seen so many women overcome the struggles of breastfeeding and just kind of like say, you know what, screw it. I'm doing formula. Screw it. I'm
That's
pumping.
exactly
And I'm
what I
like,
did.
wow, it's
Yeah.
become such an identity crisis of being a mom or being a good mom or bad mom. It's like, that's kind of scary versus a dad just has to show up at the playground with his kid and
Or
he's
just
a great
show up.
dad.
Yeah, just
I mean, really, he just
Exactly.
has to be there.
yeah, it's true.
And I mean, if we think about it now, putting on makeup as it is hard, right? That's the thing you focus on as a teenager. Oh my gosh, her eye makeup is so good. How do I do that? What do you do? I use a spoon. Oh, that's amazing. Actual hack, by the way.
Oh,
using
did
a
she
spoon.
wear a drop off today?
Right. So that's what you
makeup with
focus
a
on.
spoon. That's a new one.
Yeah, I've never-
Evidently for a
I've never
cat
done
eye, you
that.
can use the spoon and reverse it and get the top. That's
Okay.
That's one of the only makeup hacks I've ever learned,
Wow.
and I don't do it. And then you get into your 20s / to the 30s, depending if you wanted to have kids or whenever you have kids, you start delving into, how do I take care of this child? As in, I'm going to carry this child, and now every single thing I do, having this thing within me, is going to be marginalized and scrutinized, because if I walk the wrong way, if I eat the wrong thing, if I have this type of tea versus that type of tea, like, it's all going to affect the child, which it can. But suddenly everything about me is wrong.
Exactly. It's very true. Very true. And men don't have to live
No,
with
yeah,
that.
they can do whatever, which is fine.
Yeah, we're worried
If they're
about
doing it.
having
They
to-
don't have to look good doing it. They just have to do it.
Exactly. And then that's the other thing too, is that like my makeup still has to be on fleek while I'm like
Exactly.
8 months pregnant, and my water is starting to like jiggle more and I'm getting almost ready, or hopefully nothing bad happens early. You know what I mean? And then you have that scare.
Right.
What did you do that caused that? Oh no, what
right.
happened? Are you okay? Is the baby okay? And then you have the choice of the unfortunate choice of if this, hopefully this never happens, which it does, the mother or the baby, or the mother's alive, but now the baby has to deal with this, or vice versa. And then we do end up placing a lot of value on the child's life, which is important. Yes, I agree with that. The child is new and it hasn't done anything, and you want it to survive because you are reproducing. But then from that moment onward, basically from conception, you are a mother. No matter what happens to that child, you have been a mother, you are having something, and you will always be identified as such. And then you are never, ever able to get what you actually are back. It's like the word mother takes over so much of your personality that you are no longer allowed to be anything else. It's like the first time you hear your mother say shit. You're like, what? What? Mother said shit? Even though it's funny. Like
my kids never did that.
My mom's Filipino, so when I hear her say shit, it's funny.
Okay. Yeah.
She's like, oh, shit. Oh. and that's you know, it's even more funny because you have somebody who's very loving, who takes care of people. She's a nurse, so she's definitely one of those, like, I need to take care of you. That is her instinct.
Okay.
And that's wonderful for her. Happy for her. And then you hear her say shit, and you're like, what?
That's awesome.
Mom?
I know. I just heard my mom say the F word for the first time not too long ago. I was like, I gave her a high five. Woohoo. Yeah.
You know what I say?
Fuck yeah.
Or even the old lady. You're sitting on a bus, something's happening, and an old lady has decided to stand up and fight against the whatever injustice is going on, and she goes, fuck you. And you're like, oh, that's amazing. That old lady said fuck.
It's like, awesome. I want to be that old lady when I grow up.
Exactly. Like that's almost a life goal. But it's so amazing because she retained herself for that long. She's lived this long and she has her responsibilities, but we will still see her as this old lady who is demure, who is shy, who is just this well of hopefully we see them as a well of knowledge. And it's even worse when you find out they're racist.
Right.
That is just sad.
That is just sad.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
True.
Like, and then it's only because you want this old woman to be loving and caring, and you want them to take care of everybody. You want them to have cookies in their pocket for you that are like just made from home kind of thing. Whereas if you see grandpa, well, fuck those assholes. Oh, grandpa, you're being silly.
Well, you don't want to go and play with grandpa, but that's a totally different thing. You don't want to go over to his house, but the old lady is safe, but that's a totally different topic.
Yes, that's separate.
So,
oh my God.
From what I understand statistically, when people complain about women dressing too sexy in the workplace, it's almost never men complaining about that.
No, I've had men tell me I can't wear jeggings to work because they could see my underwear, and part of me was like, A, no, you can't, unless B, you're staring that hard.
Right.
And then it made me question, is it because, okay, and for the record, I'm about like 180, and I normally am 130, so I'm going to put that out there right now. That's when I was becoming much heavier, and I'm curious as to, is it because I'm not your version of good looking? Is it because of this? Because we would also have another coworker who would saunter in. She's fairly lanky. She's very pretty. Great personality. She's a really nice lady. But she'd come in and she'd wear a low back top, and I would look at her, and it's almost like a nightclub shirt where you're looking at it and you're like, no, that's not for work, even if it is retail. Why are you wearing that? And I kind of was like, hey, you need to go home and change your shirt. And she's like, what? I've worn it before. The manager lets me. And I'm looking at her like, this did not just say that. Currently, I am the manager. And then, of course, the actual store manager walks in. He looks at me. He's like, there's nothing wrong with that top. I think it looks great. Why are you marginalizing her? Wait, what?
It's true.
What?
Yeah. I think that
in my workplace. Oh, sorry.
No, Christina, go for it.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, in my workplace, I've already been told, I just started working for a new company that there's a lot of 20-somethings and 30-somethings, and I've already been told by my female manager that I can't wear leggings because it like can expose your cooter, like just the front camel toe portion of your body. So I'll give you a perspective of how I dress. The way I dress at Disneyland, the way Stella's seen me dress, the way I dress outside of work is not the way I dress at work. I don't wear makeup to work. I wear literally just, I cover myself up. It's kind of just like, it's my workplace. It's like, I'm not going to waste makeup for, just to, but at the same time, I will say there's a lot of singles at my work. There's a lot of young women, and they do dress kind of, like mini skirts or just tight fitting shirts, both genders. So it's like, I can kind of see where it's like, okay, it's a distraction, you know, this is kind of like a place to meet singles, whatever, at the same time. So, I mean, so I get where it could be a distraction, but I mean,
Right,
for me,
because
it's
the
kinda,
society
you know,
there is placing a priority on it.
Mhm.
They're deciding
and I
to make a
mean,
flag
it
out
bothers
for it.
me because, and it sucks is like for me wearing leggings, I don't do it to be sexy. I literally do it because it's the closest thing to my workout clothes, so I can just go to work out after
Mhm.
work.
Right.
So,
And I think
mean,
that's an
kind of
automatic
my own
answer for a
personal
lot.
priority.
Right, go ahead. Sorry.
What's that?
Go ahead.
Oh no, what'd you say?
I heard there was a stigma that this is a joke. I'm sorry. I'm just going to interrupt for just for a second. So one of the
Mansplaining.
jokes I saw recently was what the female version of Lord of the Flies would look like, and the women would say, "Okay, we should have a conch show and pass it around, and whenever we're speaking, then they should whoever has the conch shell can speak." Yes, but what if somebody interrupts the other person, and they say, "Well, who is here to interrupt us?" Because there were no men. Sorry, sorry. Just to point out.
As you interrupt women. But please finish your thought,
No
Christina.
worries. Oh no, I was pretty much at the end of it. I was just saying, you know,
Okay.
in like my workplace, it's more of like, you know, you're not here to meet other people and impress everybody. You're here to do a job.
Right.
Versus it's like back to what I said originally, like some people do dress because it makes themselves feel good and they do want that validation. I mean, me, I get it. But for me, my approach is always comfort
Mm-hmm.
at work because it's my day-to-day thing. But, you know, I think I've always been, I was the kid in school that got in trouble for breaking the school dress code all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I always kind of just like, whatever, it's clothes. But then again, I'm very, very, very liberal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I hear about like teenagers wearing things that are inappropriate, I'm like, whatever.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to slut shame them. I mean, enjoy their youth while they're young. It's like, I mean, I don't, that's just always been my perspective. I think like if you want to wear it,
Mm-hmm.
who should shame you wearing it? I mean, who cares if you're too big or too young or too sexy or, you know, too old? It's like, you should be allowed to wear whatever you want. There shouldn't be a dress code on it. And it's like Dave said, you know, sometimes it seems like it's almost for the male perspective because there's times where like, you know, I'll hear men say like, "Oh, that's distracting." It's like distracting, you know, that's your take. I mean, it's like, oh, I want to be focusing on work, not, hey, look at this lovely lady. You know, it's like I mean, and I think like if we were more open to it, it wouldn't be a distraction. It'd be more normalized. I think but I mean, that's definitely like a very, you know, ahead of my time statement. I think I want to say. I don't want to say I'm ahead of my times by any means, but just, you know,
but
just
much
to have that
forward
idea
thinking.
just an idea that could be normalized, that it's just, you know, this is your body. There's some parts that could be exposed that people aren't fully comfortable with yet, but it's, I mean, I don't know, but like, I'm incredibly liberal. I should pre-warn you.
So two-part statement, really, really quick. One, Christine, can you just verify what sector you're in, like business, accounting, something, just so that we have a reference?
Oh, I do billing. I do medical billing for diabetic supplies.
Okay. And then the second part is jeans. That's something that I was particularly thinking about when I thought of the leggings, because me and a coworker were having a problem, and she was told by an older lady that what she was wearing, because it was leggings and a longer t-shirt, so it covered basically everything, and she was just wearing what she felt was comfortable in, that was inappropriate and that she shouldn't work with it, let alone the fact that we don't see clients, so we are allowed to do those things. We don't see customers, or whatever the version you'd like to use. We don't have to dress professionally or even like semi-professionally. We're allowed to wear jeans at work. Now, we weren't ever supposed to really wear pants or jeans as women. I mean, if you think about it, we were always supposed to wear skirts and dresses, and now jeans are very much normalized.
I don't think it changed for me until high school. We had to wear dresses.
All the time.
All the time. And if they were a certain length, I mean, we literally had to get on our knees and they'd get the ruler.
What?
No, really. And they'd see. But I kind of get it. I look at it this way, and this is how I taught my girls, and I'm far from being sexist. I'm practical. Okay. If you don't want people in society to get that perception, don't give that perception. If you are going to go out and show a bunch of cleavage, however wrong it is for people to judge you by that, it's going to happen.
Right.
So just use common sense. And their dad would have never let them out the door like that anyway.
Right.
So I think there's a time and a place for certain clothing. I mean, if you want to go to a nightclub and dress like that, but I don't think it's really appropriate in a school setting. They're trying to teach you more than just academics.
Right. It's a social setting as well.
Exactly.
So, now my question is, through your statements, which I don't disagree with. I believe that if you're going to go to a certain specific event, you should dress for the occasion. And I believe that wholeheartedly. Part of me, and I had to make this realization before, which when I thought of it, is that as much as I would like to say, oh, it's because she was wearing that, the victim blaming comes into it. And then you also have to think about it as in, if nothing bad was happening, it was one of those like with my coworker who came in with the slinky dress, is like one of my reasons for her to going to change her clothes, other than the fact that she's at work and she really probably shouldn't dress like that, is that I wouldn't want her to get hurt and I don't want anything to happen to her, which is a truth. That is something that we do look out for. We have to leave in packs to go places, even at night, depending on where you are. So me using that as an example is valid. At the same time, I'm trying to use the fact that other people are going to have their opinions when she's doing something that expresses herself, makes her feel comfortable, and honestly isn't revealing in the sense that she's out there topless. Do you know what I mean? She's covering enough skin, and I think exposure of skin is a big thing too.
It doesn't validate somebody victimizing them.
Yes.
They still should not victimize them. But what I taught my kids was, because I've got girls, so you have to be realistic no matter how open-minded you are.
Right.
I said, don't put yourself in a stupid situation, because guys get the wrong message. No matter what you do, no matter what your intention are, don't go up to a hotel room with a guy, because they're going to take that as
an invitation,
even though you can say no all you want, but they're not going to hear that. They're going to see you walking into that room.
And this becomes predatory. This becomes where toxic masculinity comes in. Where
now, my husband would never. Once a woman would say no, that's it. No matter what her emotions were,
whatever she was doing,
no matter what she was doing,
no
is no. But that's not necessarily everybody.
Right.
So don't put yourself in that stupid situation.
Right. And it's unfortunate, because I think I don't even know how to say what kind of percentage it would be, but it's almost involuntary for women, because I'm going to wear this top part of my article clothing, this bottom part of my clothing. I'm going to wear these accessories and look this certain way because I feel good and I want to have a good day.
Honestly, that's so true, because half the time, like even when we're here at Disney World, like I'm wearing Lululemon leggings just because it's comfortable and I'm going around the parks. But I'll have my husband pause and be like, all the construction workers we walk past by are staring at your ass.
Right.
And it's like, I don't think about these things. I'm just kind of like, I have a completely different perspective on it. So, I mean, I think in terms of like, if you're like a teenager, you don't know, it's like important as like a mom to say, hey,
to teach them these things.
When you're an adult, it's kind of like you kind of already accept. Like, I mean, I know for me personally, when I put on something I know is a little bit more revealing, it's kind of like, yeah, I mean, I know this might be perceived differently, but you know what? It's not going to stop me from wearing that. I'm not going to feed into it and be like, oh, because it's like, I mean,
breathe.
I might need more time to think about that, but it's, you kind of already accept that as a thing. And it's, I don't want to back down from it. It's like, I feel really, I work really hard for my body. I work out all the time. So
yeah,
for me to be told I need to cover it up because it might turn on some men looking, it's kind of like, that's not my problem. I mean, if they're uncomfortable with it, it's like tough shit,
Right. So we're working on ourselves. However, that gets interpreted, whether it's the gym, it's emotionally, mentally, spiritually, however you'd like to view it. And we're focusing on ourselves. We're thinking about, where am I now? How do I want to be? I need to better myself. I need to become a better person. And that's people in general. But it, to me, becomes harder for a girl because you end up thinking about what society's going to do. And the unfortunate part is that as a woman, we have to teach other women these things. And you have to look out for other women on these things, because I'm doing this to feel good. I'm doing this to be great. I'm doing this to have a good time can suddenly turn into, I'm full of drugs and alcohol and I'm kidnapped, which is the worst thing ever. Just because you're having a good time, I'm going to go out and have a drink. Well, guess what? Your drink is roofied and now you have like 8 men on you. What?
Right. Absolutely.
And I know. And it's rough because a lot of times I feel like the only reason I feel as comfortable is because I'm walking around with my husband.
Right.
I mean, if I were like not
by
with
yourself,
him, I'd probably feel a little bit more scared. But I mean, and it's kind of sad to think that it's like,
you need him.
I would, but it's like, this is the society we live in where it's like, it is still a very scary thing that could happen.
Right. And that's something that it's part of the reason why I even brought this up and why I talked to Dave about this so many months ago is because I I disagree with it so much. And I want to say a lot of women do. And I know that there are some out there that would like to be Susie, a homemaker. And I don't say that in a negative way at all. There is a lot of a lot of pride to be a homemaker and to raise your children and not have a job. I think that's a wonderful thing. They would be getting paid upwards of $80,000 a year type thing. So I applaud homemakers. I think it's just difficult that when you get there, it's so much harder. I have to make the choice of being a mother or having a job. Why do I have to make that choice? Why can't I be both? Why do I have to make a choice of just being a mother, having a job, and doing other things? Can't I be that same sexy woman that came in and grabbed that man that hopefully I have a good life with and not have to do everything else?
I think it should be a choice. I chose to be a stay-at-home mom.
Right.
I couldn't even imagine what it must be like. My daughter chose to be a stay-at-home mom. My other daughter's pregnant right now. She's going to do the same thing. We're far from not weak women. We're not weak.
No.
We knew that we personally we couldn't balance it, and being a professional out there wasn't important enough to me.
Right.
I never was that career minded. That's what made me who I am. Because I think some women, that's
their goal.
Their goal.
It's their identity.
Yeah, that's their identity, and it wasn't my identity.
I think we can go on and on and on and on about this topic. I do have to say, Christina, I work very hard for my body, too. You work out. I eat out. And I also have to say that I actually was sent to the principal's office for what I was wearing one day.
He actually was.
I was wearing a Santa Claus suit, and they said that was a distraction. So I want to thank our panel of guests.
I believe you, Dave.
I did. I wish I had a picture, but yeah. I want to thank our panel. I want to thank our panel of guests, of course, Cindy, Christina. I want to thank Jimmy and Mary and Steve. I think Steve is left already. He took a nap or something. And, of course, I want to thank Stella here, my co-host, and you can thank me.
I thank you for not mansplaining with your answers, your manswers coming in. So I guess I appreciate that.
Oh, good. And thank you so much.
Thank you for letting it flow organically.
Oh yeah. And I want to thank you so much for listening, you people at home, you wonderful people. This is our first episode. I apologize for any technical malfunctions that we may have experienced or just idiocy that we may have had from being the first time doing this. And we really do hope that you tune in next time to #Matters, where our topic will be something else.